So if you're going to apply for study financing from the government of St. Martin, yeah, right now housing is not part of the study financing package. So you have to find housing on your own. Of course, if you're a free mover going to the Netherlands on your own, that doesn't really make a difference. But as parents and guardians, you will be responsible for finding housing for your child or daughter. And we prefer it that way because as St. Martiners, we have a lot of specific desires and wishes when it comes to housing. A lot of the housing offered in the Netherlands is going to be shared housing. So going into this presentation, yeah, you have to understand that concept, that a lot of what we're going to be talking here about in this presentation most probably is going to be shared housing. Shared housing means that you have your own room, but you maybe share a bathroom, share a kitchen with a few other people. That's the normal student way of living in the Netherlands. Yeah? So the responsibility is yours, whether you're going as a free mover or based on study financing from the government of St. Martin. So we're going to discuss a few methods. First is via the school, finding housing via the school. We're going to go into that. Social student housing, finding a room via a website, yeah, using social media. And then there are these transformation organizations. We're going to explain a bit how that works. And then you could also do a specific search per city. We have some websites which offer some specific links and stuff to websites per city. You could also use real estate agents or brokerage agencies. And the last method, I put it last, but in experience sometimes that's the most effective, staying with family or friends. All right, but I put it last. All right, finding a room via your school. Now, this is a very good method to find housing in the Netherlands. One, depending on the study that you want to pursue, find a school, but not only look at a school based on your desires, specific desires, but also look for a school based on whether or not they provide housing. A lot of the schools, well, not a lot of, some schools do that for first-year students. Yeah? So, when you're applying to the school, make sure to check their website to see if they also provide housing as a service. And most schools do that for maximum 1 year. Some do it for a semester. Yeah, so it depends per school, but in any case, you would be able to start off that you have housing. The application, as you see it here, you would have to apply, request housing before April 15th. A little technicality there, some schools do it guaranteed for international students. The only backdrop on that is that it's not always that all schools regard students from St. Martin as international students. So Stenden University, Leeuwarden Emmen, up north, Saxon University, Deventer and Enschede, Han University, Nijmegen, Arnhem, very good option. They do a lot for students, focus for students from the Caribbean Netherlands, so that's a good option. The Hague University and Vlissingen have a campus. Leiden University also does it for Leiden, Rotterdam. It's limited. Hanze is also limited in Amsterdam. Amsterdam is one of the high impact areas. That's one of the most difficult areas to get housing. They do it, but it's not a guarantee. Yeah? So just to give you an idea of some of the schools, but of course you have to do your own research. We're just giving you some ideas to point you in the right direction when it comes to that. So, very good option, choose a school that helps you with housing. And then you are almost 90% of the way. Then we come down to social housing, social student housing. This is the most sought after housing. Yeah? So there are about 50,000 units, affordable units in 10 different cities. Now, sometimes foreign students receive, they tell you that the foreign students receive priority and preference, but we don't have much evidence of that, right? Disadvantages here are, and we're going to go through them on another slide, the registration time. The longer you register, sometimes you have a better chance. That's why we're doing the workshop now in December, while you are going to leave. Your son or daughter will be leaving next year in August, or sometime in August. So the idea is for you to register tonight. Yeah, coming out to this workshop immediately to register, because that gives you a better chance. The longer you register, lottery system, they have a waiting list. That's some of the disadvantages. Vote in, that means that existing residents have to vote you in, have to select you. So it's not that easy to get in sometimes, especially considering the dynamics sometimes in the Netherlands itself. Priority, so the priority that we mentioned is based on the distance, and of course, if you register now and you register as St. Martin, the distance between your home and the school is going to be long, so you may get some priority. The social housing goes via room.nl. Yeah, so the first step, there are 3 steps. You have to register, then, of course, look at the rules, and of course, the final step is to apply. Registration, most important part with the registration, is going to cost you 35 euros. Yeah? So, in this whole endeavor with housing, except for the schools, I think you're going to figure out that everything you do is going to cost you some money. There's very little that's going to happen for free. Yeah? So the registration will cost you 35 euros to register. And then step 2, they want you to look at the rules. I just gave a brief introduction on them. Yeah, so you have the introduction night where you vote in based on the registration time. So the longer you're registered, then you get invited to, to the viewing. So that's, and then the candidates, the residents select, they choose the roommate amongst themselves, so they decide who comes in. Viewing based on registration time, so that's, again, the longer you're registered, you get a chance, you get invited. Increases your chance of getting invited to view the living space. Then you have the introduction night with a vote in without consideration for the registration time. That's one of the rules for the social housing. Then you have a direct offer. Direct offer means who responds first gets the first chance. So first come, first serve.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah, your social health insurances.
24/7 TV programming on www.stmartinmediacenter.com, SXM Daily News, PBS NewsHour, Now You Know, Com programs, documentary, entertainment, sports events, Saturday children's hours, religion programs, and movies. Click on SXM TV broadcast to see your favorite programs.
This mini symposium aims to showcase the climate tools developed by the Ministry of General Affairs and the Ministry of ROMI, and to bring together policy teams, stakeholders, to collaborate on policies that advance climate action.
Today, the room is actually filled with persons that are involved, internal or external, I think, in short form, by, for example, policy making or partnership with government concerning this ongoing discussion on the topic of climate change. The policy platform, I think, was created as a means to bridge gaps between policymakers. The problem that we see in daily life is always that everybody has brilliant ideas about what would be great to put on paper to follow on, but at the end of the day, everybody is on their own internal worlds documenting. But what we miss is actually a cohesion of the brilliant minds' ideas, to, in a way, put it to a coherent totality that you can give, follow up efficiently to serve humankind with. That is always, again, the problem by those that make policy. They have great ideas, and then they get frustrated because their ideas are just stated on paper, and that no one is actually giving follow-up to all the time that they have invested in thinking about policies can make life easier for everybody. So I think this policy platform is a good way to try to link the islands together to make it a more efficient totality. It is a way not only to exchange, but moreover to work in a more harmonious, efficient, as I said, and a more impactful way. This platform allows policy workers across ministries, stakeholders such as NGOs, and implementing partners to come together to address challenges, exchange ideas, and most of all to ensure that government is not working in isolation nor in silos, as I just said. As we move forward, these sessions will continue. An overview will be made of all ongoing initiatives and interventions. This allows for government to do better planning as well as promote a joint approach. Given our capacity and also, of course, our always hunting financial constraints, this is, I think, a way still for us to make what we have more efficient and impactful for our community. Another intervention is a recently started Managers Policy Departments meeting. The objective of such meeting is to provide managers with the opportunity to have collective input, but also to connect with each other. At the end of the day, it's one government, and we can only do this as a team. This is why these sessions have been reinstated with this survey at first. Once more, I would like to thank you for being here this morning. We have to be careful though, and always give a take-home message. At a certain moment, I have realized since I'm Prime Minister that we have been using words as resiliency and sustainability and climate impact and climate change. At some moment it becomes a trend that everybody uses. And at a certain moment, policymakers will have to think really about if we are talking of climate change, to stay in the mood of the trend. At the end of the day, it's very important for us to ask ourselves, if we are talking of climate change, what is actually the impact specifically for St. Martin? Well, how can I fine-tune my policy that it really makes a difference if we are talking of climate change? Climate change for me is very weak. At the end of the day, I think climate change has to do with change of temperature, has to do with threat of water and the threat of wind. It's always about water, winds, and temperatures. How can we mitigate the consequences of fluctuations in water levels, wind and temperature in a way that we can harmless through those confrontational moments. So I ask you all, please, when you're busy with policies, don't stay too general in your statements, but try to tweak it in a way that it really makes an impact on the individuals in our community. Once more, thank you for your attention, for your time, and for your engagement to be here this morning. Thank you very much.
This is one of the videos being circulated on social media, a brawl between Maroons in a compound St. Elizabeth. It came after Colonel Richard Curry publicly rejected an offer by the Prime Minister to deploy the JDF to assist with rebuilding efforts in the area.
Richard Curry want people to live on the falling. Send the government can't send the JDF come in and keep your material. Mr. Prime Minister, we don't need no light, no water, no hospital, no passport to go America, but don't send nothing coming here. Yes, don't send no electricity. No make JDF give about no electricity, but we see how them go get for it.
The people went on to say that the Maroon chief has not been fair in his distribution of aid in the community. On Monday, Mr. Curry stressed that most of the people in the protest are being influenced by politics.
One does not want to see the face of politics, right? What we have been doing has been nothing but transparent in getting the need that is required to the communities that require it, right? What we've been now doing is assiduously planning the recovery efforts for a compound. The January 6 celebrations is around the corner. There's also a lot of planning and work that has to go in that. People underestimate the level of time and work that it takes to put these things together.
And he's also doubling down on the Maroon Council's decision to reject the JDF's presence in the community.
There are a few who thought the response was saying we do not want any help. And that was not the message. That was not what was communicated. So again, look forward in an affirmative way that the council and the government will be working together to aid in the recovery process of a compound and adjoining Maroon districts.
Dozens of Maroons are also standing with their chief.
Just few little handful of labor right get up and a fight a man. For what? For a reason. Eh? You make a little money in the town, if you fix the town, they want it in them hand.
The picture that they are painting is like some different, like they are bringing politics into this. And it's not so. And most of fool talk the other day. Their belly are full because they get water. I personally give some of them water, food, parties, name it, everything that come.
We definitely against the soldiers them from coming here because no gunman in here.
The residents also stressed that they are not against the JDF, but they have enough workmen in the community who can help with the rebuilding, and many of them are now unemployed.
So if your work is here, we can have something to do. I chief, right now, I have 2 kids that go to school right now, at Hampton. And sometimes it's rough for me to get money to send them to school.
But how they are trade man? No, not now. Lean up and drink rum. Flash, you sit down and drink rum, you can lift 2 wood. Paul there, can nail 2 zinc. Yeah. Roddy there. If you carry a man from Santa Amaga to come to the book, you left with broke.
Work has already started to repair some of the buildings in the community. Priority is being placed on getting concrete roofs where possible. And going forward, the chief is appealing for unity and open dialogue. Kelisha Williams, TVJ News.
SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah, your social health insurances.
24/7 TV programming on www.stmartinmediacenter.com. SXM Daily News.
That's how the attorney representing the PNP's Paul Buchanan has reacted to the Supreme Court ruling, which dismissed attempts to overturn the election result for West Central St. Andrew. The Supreme Court refused an application for judicial review by Mr. Buchanan, arguing, among other things, that the application was not arguable. But Mr. Buchanan's legal team doesn't agree with the ruling and is already planning to appeal.
We are extremely shocked to see the way this matter has been dealt with.
Attorney-at-law Hugh Wildman on the Supreme Court ruling involving his client, the PNP's Paul Buchanan. Mr. Buchanan lost the West Central St. Andrew seat to Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness in the September 3 general election. Mr. Buchanan's legal team insists there were several breaches, but in September, the constituted authority refused an application to void the poll results. The matter was then taken to the Supreme Court. In Monday's ruling, Justice Sonia Wint-Blair said the court could not extend the time set down in laws governing elections. But for Mr. Wildman,
nobody's asking the court to do that. The law is clear. Time does not run against a nullity. If something is a nullity, it means that it never occurred. It is void ab initio. So if the matter had progressed as we had opted to progress to the election trial and to void it, and they made that announcement that the election is void, then time started to run from that time. So I don't understand how the court could have come to this conclusion.
The ruling also stated that the period during which the authority could have applied to the election court has passed, and any application is statute barred. In addition, the time frame outlined in the law is a knockout blow to the success of the application.
Can't be out of time. Within 9 days after the constituted authority ruled not to send it to the election court, he filed an application for leave for judicial review. He came to me and I filed it. The law says he has 14 days to go to the constituted authority, and he went there in 9 days.
Still, the court stated that it's futile to compel the authority to make an application, and there is a need for finality in electoral matters. The court said the threshold test has not been surmounted and the application was not arguable. The constituted authority is an independent public body which decides whether a flawed election should be sent to the election court, which could void results. Mr. Buchanan has outlined several breaches, including double voting.
That person having voted, drop it in the box, come back for another ballot and say that ballot spoiled, and was given another ballot to go and vote by the presiding officer. These are serious breaches. We have examples where you have, that is a key one. Key one is where they had to leave the polling station because mass men jumping over fence in schemas taking over the polling station. You know? The issue here is, which the court should have focused on, are the breaches that were placed before the court sufficient to compel the court to have the constituted authority refer the matter to the election court? Because once we go there, we know the election will be voided. So the questions have not been determined up to now. in this judgment.